DL Hall looks close to back. I'm not going to say he is all the way back. He's not pumping 100 like we have seen from DL Hall over the last few years here, but the fastball is getting closer to back. He's hitting 95 pretty consistently, 96, 97 when he needs to. That was not the case at the beginning of the season when he was tossing his fastball 92, 93, 94 miles an hour. That is not the DL Hall that is going to be effective down the stretch. The DL Hall that is going to be effective down the stretch is the DL Hall that gets exceptional extension and is able to throw that fastball really hard and use his off-speed pitches, which have a ton of movement, more effectively because hitters are so afraid of the fastball.
Yeah, I mean, the talk with him all year has been about that velocity on his fastball, but what a journey he's been on this season. Back in June, on June 14th, gives up 3 earned against Worcester, says, you know what? Can it. I'm going to the complex league. He rehabs himself, basically takes himself out of contention for an MLB spot, goes back to rehab everything, try and get his fastball back, does a ton of hard work to get back to a position in which he's eligible for a role in Baltimore, and he gets it, and he's back, and his fastball is a lot better than it was, but like you said, I wouldn't say it's 100% back. He's not touching 97, 98 as often as he was, but at the same time, he's not resting down around 92, 93 where he was back in June. Yes, he gave up that run last night, but I like a lot of what I've seen from DL Hall recently out of the bullpen. It's nice to know that that floor is there because all along this was the floor for DL Hall. It was he's going to be a back-end bullpen guy if he cannot succeed in the majors as a starter, but it's nice to know that he's succeeded at least a little bit, that he's confirmed that, I can dominate as a back-end reliever.
Yeah, and this has always been the conversation around DL Hall. Like you said, we always knew that if he didn't end up as a successful starter, he could be an elite bullpen arm. Not a good bullpen arm. He could be an elite bullpen arm. And we are already seeing it with pretty limited experience here in the bullpen, and the fastball still probably not being 100% of what it could be. In terms of the starting pitching conversation, I don't think the Orioles are going to be completely done with DL Hall as a potential starter. The offseason is going to be very interesting. In terms of what the Orioles plan for DL Hall. I don't know what the plan is going to be. Coming into this year, we knew that the Orioles were going to try out DL Hall as a starter. Obviously, things did not go to plan in AAA Norfolk. You mentioned the long time he had to spend rehabbing, getting the fastball back up to shape. We will see what DL Hall ends up doing in the offseason in terms of whether or not he's preparing to be a starter or a reliever. I think it's going to be really interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I support him either way. You do you, DL.
That's very nice of you. I also support DL Hall. I don't want to be the only one not supporting DL Hall on the show. It makes me sound weird. But no, he has been excellent since coming back in late August. Since his return, he has appeared in 6 games with a 2.84 ERA. Opponents hitting just 2.17 with an on-base percentage slightly over 300. The strikeout numbers, I think, will probably continue to go up a little bit. He only has 6 strikeouts in 6 1/3 innings. Not the same kind of overwhelming stuff that we have seen from DL Hall, but he's throwing a lot more strikes. He only has 3 walks in 6 1/3 right now. Not awesome. A lot better than it was.
Yeah, a lot better than it was, and I think this situation isn't one that a lot of Orioles fans thought DL Hall would be in. I think a lot of people, when he did take himself out of contention back in June, thought, all right, this could be it for DL. We don't know. We haven't seen him be successful for so long. Pitchers all the time fizzle out, and I think a lot of people thought that might be the case with DL. It's so nice to see him back, at least closer to where he was and where we know that he can be. Again, the fastball not exactly where he wants it to be or where anybody else wants it to be. They want it to be a little bit higher, but with a lot more work and hard work that he's been putting in, I think he can get there.
Yeah, not enough innings to be eligible for the percentile rankings on StatCast, but if you still look at them, if he were to be eligible, the expected ERA, expected batting average, average exit velocity, whiff percentage, strikeout percentage, hard hit percentage, ground ball rate, all at a very high percentile right now.
That
Obviously,
translates to good.
good. Does not have enough innings under his belt to be eligible in those categories, but with some more innings, if he were to be eligible, those would be very good percentile rankings. I genuinely believe that DL Hall can be an elite closer at some point in his career if he sticks in the bullpen.
Yeah. I mean, failed starters, they're elite bullpen arms a lot of the time.
Yeah.
I mean, look at Andrew Miller. Was a guy who was a starter.
Zach
ended
Britton.
up being, yeah,
Mariano Rivera.
Plenty of guys.
Yeah.
So keep your head up, DL.
Yeah. In terms of what he will be the rest of this season, again, I think it's a similar conversation to Jorge Lopez, where DL Hall, I believe, has the potential to be a very good closer, but until Yennier Cano loses that job, it is still Yennier Cano's job. And I am not expecting Yennier Cano to lose that job at any point this season. So DL Hall, Jorge Lopez, both very good options at the back end of the bullpen, but it's still Yennier Cano's closer job at this point, I think.
I agree.